if you want to mow down people, as happened at the border in Gaza, unfortunately within the last 24 hours, it helps if you don't consider them people. Now, this has happened obviously in history, and it's a terrible part of human history. It's happened actually many times, over and over again. You dehumanize first. Well, there was a guest on a Fox program named Ian Bremmer, and he made this point, and he was talking about walls and how walls can work, but there is a caveat. Now, look, whether he meant this as his own opinion is questionable. You'll see the video for yourself, but unfortunately, it does drive either way towards a point that is haunting. So let's watch.
But Trump has been a very effective us versus them president, right? He's saying, done with the globalists, I'm going to stand up for the little guy. When Trump says, you want to see if a wall works, go to Israel. Israel is one of the most effective democracies in the world. It's transparent, got rule of law, independent judiciary, it's anti-corrupt, and they've built walls. Okay. The only problem is that you have to think that Palestinians aren't people.
But also, yeah, that's a bit of a problem. So again, I don't know if he's criticizing that. I hope to God he is. That was pretty much the end of the show and he didn't get to explain, or if he thinks that's a perfectly legitimate point of view. But if you're not aware of it, there's a reason why people for a long time have been trying to dehumanize Palestinians and Muslims in general. Because if you say, well, because of the nature of their identity, whether it's their ethnicity or their religion, they are irredeemable. There's no hope for them. They will always be violent. Well, then it gets easier to be violent against them. It gets easier to kill them. So that was on the Next Revolution with Steve Hilton. That's a Fox News program. But that's not the only place that people say things like that. So Ben Shapiro wrote back in 2010, Israelis like to build, Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage. This is not a difficult issue. Hashtag settlements rock. But a lot of people read that and go, that's an intellectual. That's a really smart guy who gets that we should be bigoted and say a whole category of people live in sewage. And by the way, Ben, did it ever occur to ask you, for you to ask why? Why is there great poverty in the occupied territories? It might be in part of the answer that it's the occupied territories. They don't control their own economy. They don't control their own border. They're under constant blockade. And then you say, well, look at that. I put you in an open air prison. 2 million people can't walk out. Like today, if you try to walk out, we'll kill you, we'll murder you. But, look at that, you're poor. You're poor. And they like to bomb crap. Today, just to remember what the count is, 55 dead Palestinians, 2,700 wounded Palestinians, 0 dead Israelis, 0 wounded Israelis. That's great that there are no wounded or dead Israelis. Wonderful. Wouldn't it be great if both sides didn't have anyone wounded? But it also goes to show you that those soldiers for Israel were under no imminent threat whatsoever, but they executed those people near the border anyway. Why? Are they really people anyway? Israelis build, according to some. By the way, Israelis do build. You know what they should build? They should build a two-state solution. So one side demonizes the other. And by the way, don't get me wrong. Are there people on the other side, the Palestinian side, Arab side, Muslim side, whatever you want to call it, who demonize Israel or Jews? Oh, there definitely are. And so I can't stand either side. Guess what? They're all human beings. Israelis are human, Palestinians are human, but one side has absolutely no power and the other side has to constantly be reminded, hey, don't kill those people. And again, to the point of, no, these are not monoliths. Today, there was an incredible, wonderful protest here in America by a group called If Not Now. We carried it on our Facebook page on the Young Turks. It's young Jews and rabbinical school students who came out and said, basically, not in our name. We don't want an embassy of occupation. We want an embassy of freedom. And they were in the streets in Washington, D.C. More power to them, Godspeed to them. If God exists, please help those people. Because we need someone speaking reasonably and with compassion and realizing that there are human beings on both sides and they should not be killed and no one should think that either side is irredeemable. Now, the rest of us look out in horror and outrage at the deaths at the border. But there is one person who was excited by it, and you're not going to be surprised, at least one person, Ann Coulter. So she tweets out today, referring to a New York Times tweet, breaking news, Israel responded with rifle fire to mass attempt by Palestinians to cross the border fence, killing at least 28. Now it's 55. And Ann Coulter writes, can we do that? Well, give it time, because right now, US government officials are very busy justifying all of those deaths. You know what the next step is? Well, if Israel, our good ally, can do it, why can't we do it? And if Palestinians aren't really people, and we've made it seem like they're lesser than us, they're lesser than human, and that led to their deaths, well, the Mexicans, aren't they rapists and criminals? Aren't they all MS-13? Isn't that what our government is doing right now? You think that it won't come here? Fascism and bigotry is a toxin, it's a poison. And once you normalize it, there is no end to it. We should never, ever normalize it. End the occupation. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.